Hi, I'm CJ, class of 2017, and I'm here today interviewing Hal, class of 1974.
Well, hello, CJ. I'm glad to be here. Sixth grade. I wish I was still in sixth grade. That's a lot of fun.
So, tell me a little bit about your life today.
My life today. Well, CJ, I live in St. Louis, and I've lived here for, I would say the last 25, almost 30 years. I'm married, and I have 3 children, 2 17-year-olds and a 16-year-old, all of whom have gone to Rossman and now are at MICDS. I own a commercial real estate firm, and I otherwise do a lot of yoga and bike with my wife. So those are my fun things to do.
What do you consider to be your greatest accomplishments since graduating from Rossman?
I would say greatest accomplishments would be graduating from college with honors. Also, while I was at college, I was the 148th and last president of my fraternity. So we spent a year fighting for the survival of our fraternity, and that was a very important thing to me. We didn't win, but it was a very important stage. Other important things I would believe would be marrying my wife Holly, which has worked out very well, and beyond that, the birth of our kids and a successful business career. So I think those are all things I'm going to put in the win column.
Tell me a little bit about your academic journey after Rossman.
Academic journey. Well, I went from Rossman to Country Day, which is now known as MICDS because they merged with Mary I. I was there for 5 years. Interestingly, I went to Switzerland for boarding school for 3 years. After that, I went to Amherst College, which is in Massachusetts, a small liberal arts college, and it was a great fit, and it was a lot of fun, and I was fortunate enough to graduate with honors. So I was sociology and German major, which I loved speaking German because I had been in Switzerland, so that was a lot of fun. So since then, I have been in business, so that's pretty much my academic journey. I've continued to try to stay educated on a lot of levels. Some of that's coming here and learning from you guys.
How has your Rossman experience influenced how you are today?
Well, I would say that I left Rossman, fortunately, with a very good education. So I went on to MICDS, is 5th grade, but I went into the 8H, which was the 8 honors section, really because of my education here at Rossman. Gave me a little bit of a head start somehow, or at least a heads up. So that helped me throughout my whole scholastic career to always try and be in the top part of the class, and I think that really was a benefit through my entire life.
How did you become interested in real estate?
My family's company was a construction company, and if you ever watch someone build a building, it's not easy. I saw how difficult it was to put up a building, and I thought, well, maybe it's a lot easier to sell them after they've been built. So that's really what I got into, is selling properties after they were built. So I sell older buildings. I've sold a lot of schools and a lot of churches here in St. Louis, as well as factories and office buildings.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
What I enjoy most about my job would be just getting to go to work every day. I have a company with 18 employees. I'm a co-owner, so I get to go there and make sure everything's working right and make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to do, but also we're all learning together because this world keeps changing, especially these days with the technology. We really, every month, have to stay on top of that, and it's a lot of fun. And so it's a constant education process. So that's one of the things I like the most, is that the job's never the same every day. I go to work, and every day it's a different challenge.
What did you have in mind as a profession when you attended Rossman?
I don't know if I really had a direction. My entrance exam at Country Day said, if you could be anyone in the world, who would you want to be? And I wrote a whole paper about, well, if I could be anybody, I think I'll be myself, because if I was a football player, I might get myself killed playing football, because I'm not really a football player. And if I was a fireman, I don't know if I'm a good fireman yet. So I felt that at the time I was in a pretty good place, so I wrote that on that entrance exam, and I had that same teacher my first year, and he said that was the best paper he had received. So I guess at the time I was pretty pleased just to be who I was. So I'm going to stick with that answer.
All right, great. You attended Rossman during some of its first years at this location. What was Rossman like then?
Well, I will say, as I think back on it, it was a small country school, because it really was country around here. There were horses next door. The school was new, and there was always some action happening. I do remember at one point there was a field that had a pond in it, and as junior and senior kindergartners, we'd go look at the pond, and there were cattails growing out of the pond. And one day in maybe first or second grade, they drained the pond. And it was a big day at Rossman because the science teacher was out there, and we were all curious to see what was in the pond. So they drained the pond. It wasn't a very big pond, but it was big enough to have a giant catfish, and it was really big, especially when you're in first grade. So the science teacher somehow got the catfish, and we saved it, and we somehow got it to another pond. So that's a memory that I have from Rossman in the early days.
Oh, nice. What was your favorite class?
I would say my favorite class was probably second grade. I had Mrs. Morrissey, and she was a very diligent on there was reading, writing, arithmetic. Well, she was into the reading and writing, so she had us read, and write a lot of opinions about the books we read, and she had a competition with how many stars, and so my good friend Derek Rapp and I got into that competition. We read a lot of books in second grade and had fun doing it. And I think he read a few more than I did, so he won the competition, but it was a good benefit for both of us. So that was a great memory.
Yeah, that's fun. Did your gym teacher spark an interest in any particular sports when you attended Rossman?
I will say my best sports memory was when the fourth grade played the sixth grade. And we were fourth graders, and they were sixth graders. We ended up beating them in the soccer game. The fourth grade beat the sixth grade, and it was a big event for us, because the sixth grade wasn't very happy because they were laughing, thinking they beat the heck out of us. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so you're really happy when you won?
Yeah, we were happy when we won. Some of the best things that happen are when you don't expect them. And my good friend Eric, who's still a very good friend of mine, stopped a lot of goals. So they kept kicking goals, and also one of the goals we scored, I scored, which is maybe why I remember that game. And it was a lucky, kick it real hard from far away, and it just happens to go in the right place. So
Oh, nice.
it was a good memory, so it was a lot of fun.
Did you have a favorite lunch?
Well, that's a tricky question for me, because I very much did have a favorite lunch, and that was Sloppy Joe's. And I didn't know it was my favorite lunch until I came back when I first started working with the board, and they had a Sloppy Joe lunch, and they said, hey, why don't you stop by and have some Sloppy Joe's? Well, then I remember how much I like Sloppy Joe's. So I've come back almost every year to have those Sloppy Joe's.
This is a hard one. Describe Rossman in just 3 words.
3 words. Well, I will say scholastic, because of how much I felt I learned here. Enduring, because Rossman's been here a long time, and I think it will be here a long time. And I will end up with, how about excellence? Because I think Rossman does everything in a very top-notch fashion, and I don't want to say superior and say that they're better than every other school. I just want to say that there's a level of excellence here that persists with the school, and so that's one of the 3 words would be excellence.
What is your lasting impression of Rossman?
The questions I've answered really have reminded me that my lasting impressions are a whole number of different things. But mainly it's a gratitude for having been able to be lucky enough to go here and to get the education that has helped me throughout my whole life. So my lasting impression is thank you, Rossman School.
Okay, Mr. Ball, thanks for coming here today and all your time.
Well, I appreciate that, CJ. I really enjoyed it, and there's nothing more exciting than talking about Rossman School, especially with such a smart young man as yourself.
Thanks very much.